Welcome back to the Untriggered Parenting Podcast with me, Paula Sampson-Lawrence. My very special guest today is Michele Akester-Marsh. Michele is a mindful self-care coach, and she works with mums and helps them to introduce simple mindful self-care practices into their busy days to help them feel calm and in control. Let's dive in. Welcome, Michele, to the show. Welcome to the podcast this morning. It's so lovely to have you here. So please do introduce yourself and tell us more about what you do.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show. So I'm Michele Akester-Marsh. I'm a self-worth coach for working mums, and I am very passionate about mums living their best lives, all via calming your nervous system. My whole ethos is to make it as simple as possible to keep it sustainable. It's like we're building the foundations for sustainable self-care, because I think so often we know that we need to do self-care, but we don't know how on earth we're going to fit it into our busy days, when the days feel like they're just going at 100 miles an hour, maybe more.
Yeah.
And I used to just wish that I could backpedal. I felt like I was actually trying to backpedal time and slow time down so I could fit everything in, and just every day I felt like I was failing in all my different roles. So via these mindful self-care techniques, these practices, I started integrating like just little short and sweet bits into the days and get my nervous system really calm. And the magic is that when your nervous system is calm, everything else falls into line. Like all of those challenges and those unexpected things that crop up day in, day out, the inevitable things that we can't control, you can deal with them much more calmly. You have headspace to think about other things. Less chaos in my head is how my clients describe it.
I love that. Let's just backpedal a little bit. If we could just go into let's talk about some of the misconceptions about self-care. Because there's I think there's quite a lot of misconceptions where people think it's one thing, which is bubble baths and spa days and massages, which is all great. And then there's the other thing of how it's self-indulgent maybe, and it's a bit of a privilege. So can you talk us through some of the misconceptions that maybe you've come across in terms of self-care?
Well, that people don't have time for it, that the mums don't have time for it, that it's selfish. Why should she spend money on herself when she's got new shoes to buy and food put on the table? And it's just, like you said, self-indulgent. And I think people do often think about self-care being, you've mentioned the bubble baths, but also massages and things that cost money. But I really believe that it's not. Like, my definition of self-care is having a glowing heart. It's living mindfully in the present, like feeling life. So whatever that looks like for you, like it doesn't have to be one thing, and it doesn't have to take up a lot of time. And I think that's probably the biggest things is the time and the money and the feeling selfish for doing self-care.
I love that, a glow in your heart. I think that's lovely. I think, like you said, people put price tags on it. They put time constraints on it, when really it's looking after yourself. The same way with our kids, when we look after our kids. Have you eaten? You make sure they drank water? Have you been outside, get some sun? You ask how they are. Just doing these things for yourself, making sure that you're filled up as much as possible, because you got to fill yourself up, because maybe there's nobody else filling you up. Just on a side note, actually, I know you work with mums in general, but do you think society allows dads more to have a sort of self-care, not routine, but they're able to do their hobbies? They might have their man cave. They might, go to work and then have a little more time. Do you think that's fair, or do you think it's the same sort of struggle for both mums and dads?
I actually think it is quite imbalanced. I don't know what you think. I might be opening a whole can of worms here, but I think it's very unbalanced. In our household, it's balanced now, but we've consciously worked and intentionally worked towards that as a goal for our family. And it's taken time and it's taken commitment. But I'll give you an example. I am really pushing the boundaries at the moment of what's possible for mums. So I've gone off on a 11-day trip to Mauritius just because
Amazing.
we're friends. And my husband was fully supportive of that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to lead the way in mums being able to do what they want to do and not feeling like they have to sacrifice everything. But I think the reality is that it is harder for mums because the dads tend to, I'm completely generalizing here,
Yes.
so I don't want to offend anyone who's not in this kind of, scenario, but it tends to be the dads that go to work. It's quite black and white. And it's the mums who are there to drop the kids to school, pick them up if they're sick, make sure they're in the right, whether they're in the right uniform or is it PE kit, the right shoes, make sure they've got that lunch, make sure make sure they've got the homework and everything. So logistically, it's harder for mums to do that self-care. And the reason I mentioned about the fact I'm in Mauritius is because so many mums have reached out to me and said, how on earth have you managed to do that? How have you done it? I said, well, I decided I wanted to do it. I decided I was worthy. I decided I was worthy of doing the time, spending the money on myself. Again, this has taken a lot of practice to get to this stage. It's not something that's happened overnight, so don't fret. But I've said to people, well, where would you go? Where would you go and when do you want to go? And that's it. It's like a decision you make. And I say, well, how many times has your husband been on a skiing trip in the last 10 years, for example? So, and I think it's easier for the dads to kind of, go swing by the gym on the way home or pop out for a drink on the way home from work because they don't have that time pressure to pick up the kids by a certain time. Again, I'm generalizing, don't wish to offend, but no. I think that is a general kind of feeling amongst mums.
I
certainly the mums I work with. Interesting question.
It just popped into my head and I thought, let me get your take on that because I do agree with you on it. But I want to know when the mums come to you and they're sort of overwhelmed and they're frazzled and they're obviously now in survival mode and they probably have been for quite a while. What do you do? What's your first thing that you do to work with them? Where do we go first?
Well, the mums I work with tend to have this niggling feeling that there is something more for them. They have this hope, this optimism and they want to get out of the mundane. And so I will listen to them and I'll tell them, I'll listen to them and hear their stories and I'll let them know that, there is hope. Things can change, but all it takes is a commitment. It's you making a single choice right now that you matter. And that is kind of where it spirals from, that you are worthy. And I think that's the thing, like, even if they try and ignore this niggle, this gnawing feeling, that they're so fed up with the mundane, the hamster wheel, the groundhog day is how they describe it. That they just keep trying to suppress it, or they're scared to talk to people about it for feeling judged, for feeling, like they're going to be criticized. And unfortunately, that is often the case. Again, that's something that I personally have had to work through, and I work through that with my mums who I work with. There is a lot of judgment, but I really believe with all my heart that there's always hope, and you can do anything you want, you can achieve anything you want. Your well-being has to be the utmost priority, and when it is, it creates a ripple effect within your home as well. So by saying yes to yourself, even though initially it might feel selfish, it's actually a case that the whole family transforms with you. I'll give a really simple example. I know, like my Mauritius example, that's really far out there for most people, but just a really simple example is crazy school mornings. Like, school mornings always used to be one of my biggest time of stress in the day, really. The kids rushing out and trying to make sure that everything was on time, all the bags were packed and la-di-da. And I learned that when I got up a few minutes earlier, I started doing a bit of yoga practice, doing a bit of journaling, maybe some breath work, maybe all of it, depending on how I felt and how much time I had available. And now my mums who I'm working with, they're saying that the school mornings are much calmer because she's much calmer.
Yeah.
So, and it's a massive knock-on effect. Like the children are being more helpful. The dads are. I do tend to pick up work with mums who are married.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what your audience is, and I appreciate that not everyone is married as well. But yeah, like dads coming home with roses and like just being a little bit more loving towards the mum, because rather than her feeling like she's just a commodity. And just feeling the love, and it's just like a really nice holistic kind of result outcome when mum says yes. And then you've got the wider ripple effect into the community, because when a mum says yes to her own self-care, when she starts to see new perspectives and life in a different way, and then she can then help her children with those mindset shifts as well, they take that into the school. So again, another example, my son's best friend was being bullied at school, but my son was strong enough in his own values and his own mindset and who he is, because I've helped him in that respect, to stand up to these bullies and say no, and to help his friend through it. And then to actually be kind to these bullies, to understand that actually these people are projecting their hurt, sadness, frustration, anger onto people in the playground because they feel they can be powerful there, whereas they don't have a voice at home. And actually, this particular bully I'm talking about, he actually became a very good friend of my son and his best friend. Because they just plowed him with love. They didn't retaliate. They were just kind to him, and they started to welcome him, if you like, into and make him feel safe and heard, and and that's just a remarkable example of how it's so important for mums to look after ourselves.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about, it's not selfish at all. It's
You're
the complete
right.
opposite.
It does create ripple effects, and it has effects far reaching than just mum feeling okay. It does ripple down. So what I love about what you do is that these are short routines that you can incorporate into your day, especially when you feel like you've got no time. So please tell us about that, these quick short routines that really make a difference to your entire day.
So all my work is based on a series of four mindful self-care practices, between 2 and 5 minutes. So there's a like mindfulness practice, a movement practice, and then like a breath work and a mindful self-care seed, which is literally just like a mindset thing to inspire you and offer you a new perspective, and journal prompts as well, which you can reflect on. So it's very much about integrating mind, body, soul, and soothing the nervous system. And they specifically been designed like to do when you're driving along. You could be doing a breath work if you're sat at the traffic lights, for example, or you can be doing some breath work while you're cleaning your teeth, because that's 2 minutes. Waiting for the kettle to boil. You're waiting for the kettle to boil. You could be doing a bit of a dance or something. Just keep moving and get that, shift that energy. And shall I give like 3 key ones that I would recommend?
Yes, please.
So the first one, the most powerful one that helped me, was my breath. And it sounds really ridiculous because we breathe. We just do it on autopilot. But that's the point, is that my goal is to get us out of living on autopilot and to actually get back into our bodies, to get out of our heads where we're thinking all the time, and get us into our hearts and actually feel life, rather than think our way through life. Because when we think our way through life, that's where we get in trouble, where we feel scared, or we worry about what people are thinking, or but actually when you're living in your heart, you don't really care what anyone else is thinking. You've kind of your heart glows. And you're kind of, you feel invincible. So breathe. So the quickest way is, whenever you're feeling stressed, you could be having a stressful morning with the kids, and they're not eating their breakfast properly or fighting or whatever. I've just turned around, faced the kitchen sink before, and just stood up, breathe in for 4 and out for 8, or in for 3 and out for 6, or whatever works for you.
Yeah.
So just double that exhale. Just do 3 of those to start with, and it makes a massive difference.
Yeah.
Whenever you're feeling a bit fraught, because nobody even has to know that you're doing it.
Yes.
And that's the other thing. Like,
yeah.
I would literally be doing it as I'm walking into the school gates because I'm feeling a bit frantic.
Yeah.
Or when, as I said, cleaning my teeth, or to always return to the breath. Breath is your best friend when you need a bit of a boost, when you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, a bit frazzled in your day. And then the second one is move. So I've already suggested about movement, mentioned movement. To just kind of flow. I mean, to put on your favorite song, and even if it's just a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of having a 2-minute timer, actually, using a timer.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the reason being that, 2 minutes feels doable, or even 1 minute, but 2 minutes feels doable. But you know that time is going to go off in 2 minutes, and you can go about your day again, and you're not going to get caught up in. You can actually get into the moment, enjoy your movement, enjoy your breath, whatever, and then go about your day without thinking, oh gosh, what if I miss my phone call, or what if I, run late? What if I so literally, just move. I've got specific kind of movements that I do, but just go with your body. Just what does your body, where does your body want to move? What does it want to do? It could be as simple as sitting at your desk and just kind of swaying your arms above your head, just get a bit of movement. It could be standing, waiting for that kettle to boil and having a little dance, or doing knee lifts or something, or it's just really about feeling your body. I mean, your body has a really hard job. It works really well, and it doesn't get given enough credit for what it does. It houses your beautiful soul and your beautiful personality.
I was just going to say quickly, I feel like a lot of people, or women, might be disconnected from their body. They might not even feel any connection and realize that they're grounded in their body. So isn't movement, that's a good way to remember the house that you live in.
Yeah. And then you're absolutely right. Most of the ladies I work with are really disconnected with their bodies. And we tend to move in a very particular way. We sit down a lot, and my original background is holistic therapies and massage specifically.
Right.
We move in a very linear way, but the body isn't designed to move in a linear way. It's moved to flow, and it has so many different so many different ranges of motion that we can't do. And then, for example, we have children, and our hips get really tight, and again, because we're sat down all the time, and we get sciatic pain, and we get headaches, and a lot of what you're experiencing pain-wise can be eliminated from the movement as well. Massage is great if you have time and you can afford it, but you can do so much yourself. And then there's the other thing, just if you're feeling a bit low, or you're upset about something, move, because that will shift you out of a funk. That will shift you out of your funky mood. And it's you have to try it, and 10 out of 10 is like it will work. But it's about making that choice. It's about deciding, it's about deciding, I don't want to stay in this particular frame of mind. I don't want to feel stressed. I believe that stress and overwhelm is a state of mind. And I know that there's a lot going on for everybody, but that's the thing, like everybody has got a lot going on. My husband's got kidney disease, both my children have got kidney disease. We've recently moved from Dorset to Scotland. That was like a massive upheaval. It was a dream come true.
Literally
but with that
side,
came but with that came a lot of change and a lot of stress. But it's about how you decide that you're not going to let these things drag you down, like the stress, the fact that we're living with kidney disease, and
I
about
love that.
keeping an even keel. So
Yeah. I love that. And it's
yeah,
finding moments of joy really, and just a
yeah,
calm joy and quiet, because you can't hear
yeah,
yourself or feel your feelings if you don't have time to slow down and
that's
give
it.
yourself the opportunity for that, even if it is 2 minutes a day, so I think those are perfect. Was there one more?
Yeah. Well, the other one is to ask yourself. I kind of covered it already, but like ask
Yeah.
yourself in the morning, like this is a really, really powerful
Mm-hmm.
tool to set you up for the day. Ask yourself, how do I feel?
Mm.
How am I feeling right now? Like the second you don't even have to get out of bed. You turn your alarm off. How
Yeah.
do I feel right now? And I used to dread the day ahead. I used to think, how on earth am I going to get through the day? I've literally got my diary
Mm.
book solid. I don't know how I'm going to make it to the evening. And I know that I'm going to just fall into bed. And there goes any intimacy, with my husband, because I'm just going to,
You just like,
and
yeah.
that causes another problem,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I started asking myself, okay, well, how am I feeling? I put a
Mm-hmm.
label on that feeling. I was like, well, actually, I
Mm-hmm.
don't like feeling like this. So how do I want to feel? And I choose one word as like a benchmark for the day. So it might be confident, or it might be joyful, or it might be abundant, or free, liberated.
Mm. Yeah,
Just a
yeah.
word for the day. And then you can kind of, with practice, again, it's
Mm-hmm.
commitment, it's a choice. You kind of check in with yourself at various points. Again, you can use an alarm or a timer.
Yeah,
Maybe when you do hit the pillow at
yeah,
nighttime, bedtime, just say, oh, did I achieve that feeling?
yes,
Okay, well, if I didn't, where what have I learned? Like, what can I do differently? Not beat yourself
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you. I think it's
Mm,
so important to be intentional, because if you're not intentional about your life, you're gonna get just dragged around. And with my work with parents, actually, one of the things I do is to do that morning check-in, morning and evening check-in, because
yeah,
especially if you're somebody who is so sort of on edge and you tend to lash out at your kids, if you when you wake up
yeah,
in the morning, if you're honest about how you're feeling and you recognize it, then hopefully you're more able to control that reaction and respond instead of reacting, because you already know what, I woke up a little bit not right. So just
yeah,
because my child did that, it actually wasn't them that upset me.
yeah.
I already woke up, even before I saw their face. I woke up not right. So in a way, it helps
That's
you
it.
manage your emotions so that you're not sort of, well, less likely to bleed all over, your family, your children, your friends. So it is really
Yeah,
important to wake up and be intentional and check in and do that body scan and feeling scan about how you're
definitely.
you're feeling. I would love to hear about any sort of success stories or testimonials, somebody you've worked with who came in one way and sort of put things into practice, and you've seen a real change, or you've seen a mindset shift, how they approach their lives, that kind of thing. Or
Yeah,
it could
well,
just be you even, maybe.
yeah, with my ladies I work with, what I really like is seeing all the subtle changes,
Yeah.
because again, it's the small changes
Mm-hmm.
and the small belief shifts and mindset shifts that are going to last.
Yeah.
They're the things that are going to last. So it's the getting up in the morning and asking
Mm-hmm.
myself how I'm feeling, and actually just starting the day off on a better
Mm-hmm.
footing. It's having that more calmer household. It's finding that time for that movement, mindful self-care. Maybe even
Mm-hmm.
set the intention to do a yoga practice once a week. Like,
Yeah.
set the
Yeah.
boundary that that is something that you really want to do and it's a priority.
Yes.
Because it is,
Yeah.
my work is very much about helping them figure out what their priorities in life are, and
Mm-hmm.
then create the boundaries to make it happen. And then the mindset and the energetics stuff.
Yeah.
It's all nervous system stuff. But yeah, I mean, some of the biggest successes that I've had, I've just run my 8 week program,
Mm.
Neverand, my 8 week program, and which is called Align Your Time. And within that, I had 2 women. It was only a small group of 8 women, which is really nice because I
Mm.
can give them my full attention then as well. Um, Two of them actually got new jobs
Oh,
within, I
wow.
think, 3 weeks. So they
Yeah.
they said, right, okay, I've figured out what I really want, and this particular job I'm in now really doesn't work for me. I'm working
Mm-hmm.
shifts, and it doesn't align with what I know my values are now, what my priorities are, I'm not spending the quality time with my family that I want. I've realized that actually I would rather have a non-shift based job. So it's like working through like the confidence, the mindset, like owning that job that she's applied for, and lo and behold, she got that job. And then the next day I got a call saying, oh yeah, I got the job. And that lady, she already knew she needed a new job. Yeah, she just didn't have the time, the headspace for it. But through the nervous system calming and actually releasing a few things that didn't serve her anymore, and kind of just feeling generally calmer, she said, yeah, I just sat down and I did it. I felt so much calmer, and I just feel calmer. And also things like how you react to family members. I mean, it's very common for family members to trigger you, not necessarily the people you live with, but extended family, like your parents.
Oh yes.
And that's something I've worked through a lot, but through calming your own nervous system and just standing true to yourself and what you believe in, and actually realizing that people, what other people think. It's brilliant. This had a real impact actually in the latest program, was what other people think of you is none of your business. So let them think whatever they want. You can't be affected. Like you're in your lane, and you're staying in your lane, and you're enjoying your life well, or aiming to live your best life every day. So there's been lots of different types of results, but it's more about the small sustainable stuff really. And because I believe that when you try and make too much change at once, then it doesn't stick.
That's right.
And it becomes too overwhelming. Becomes, that in itself, like a move to Scotland, it was literally like boom, boom, like we've been lifted up and dropped down in a completely new life. It took a lot of energy to hold it, hold that, the new dynamics and the new.
It is a lot. Last couple of questions. First, I'd love, what would you say to that mum who just thinks there's no time? I can't do yet another thing. I can't add yet another thing to my list. What would you say to that woman?
I would say that you don't make time, you create time. And if you want it enough, you can do it. You can create that time for yourself. But you have to make yourself a priority. And for all the reasons I've just explained, and there's so much more. I mean, I can't get, in this amount of time, I can't get everything in. I would want to say, but you have to make that choice.
You have to, absolutely. And then can you give us one thing, maybe just one thing that we can start today, like now, that's gonna, if we'd make it a daily habit, would really have a big impact on our well-being, our nervous system? What's that one thing that we can try and incorporate?
I'm going to go for the how do I feel and how do I want to feel thing. And if you want to write it down as well, then keep a note of it. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just get a notebook and just write the date and how you feel, how you want to feel, and then you can actually track back. Then you can look at how far you've come in a few weeks. Maybe you might think, oh, actually I'm feeling a lot happier recently. But I want to add something else as well, if I may. You've mentioned gratitude. Always come back to the gratitude of, like, find those little things, those little moments of joy. So when you're walking along the street, can you hear the bird song? Is the bird song making you happy? Is getting into bed at night and pulling the sheets up and getting all cozy, does that make you happy? And actually holding on to those moments as well, because that all elevates how you feel as well. So it's kind of a double little thing there.
I love those. I love those tips.
2 seconds though, it really does take. Do it in 30 seconds a day.
I really love that. You create time. I think that's really powerful. I don't think people think of it like that. They think you're trying to just shoehorn it in somewhere. But no, you create that time. And so let us know where we can connect with you online, where people can find you to work with you.
But my website tells you about Align Your Time. It's a 8-week mindful journey of self-discovery. So that is all about figuring out your priorities, your boundaries, and working on your energetics and mindset to make sure that you are living your best life every day, and make sure that you are working towards those longer visions and those dreams. That, like, I have this phrase that I love, this mantra, if you like you're always a mum, but you're not only a mum. You are a mum, and you're an amazing mum, but you can be you too.
So much more. Yes.
One of the reasons I've come away is like, I just want to be Michele for a bit. Just take a step back, and it's fine. And like, my boys are happy as Larry back at home, and I'm getting daily updates. And so yes, so back to the question. So it's Michele Akester-Marsh.com. So that's where you can find the information about Align Your Time. And my Instagram and Facebook is at Michele.Akester-Marsh. So
excellent. I'll definitely be incorporating some of that into my daily routine. But thank you so much for coming and having a chat from Mauritius. That's what I wish I was. Take me with you next time.
Well, yeah. Well, if you want it, set the intention.
It
might not happen this year. Might not happen this year.
But
it might not happen in the next 10 years. But one day,
one day.
It. Hold that vision.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, thank you so much, Michele.
Thanks so much, Paul. It's been really lovely chatting.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.